1045 The Team, your home for New York sports. We are joined by New York Post Marc Berman. Mr. Berman, first of all, thank you for making time for us. I have a crazy theory that now that LeBron has won a title in Cleveland, he will opt out and help his best good buddy Carmelo Anthony win one in New York. Tell me I'm genius.
I have that for a long time, but I don't. I just can't. I do believe that LeBron is not going to retire with the Cavaliers, but I can't imagine him having his wandering eye right now. I think he's got to be there in late October. But people dismiss the Knicks destination for LeBron, not as long as Carmelo is there. LeBron on record, saying that the Garden is his favorite place. But Los Angeles is a huge draw as well with both the Clippers and Lakers. So probably the favorite for next mission. But your theory about he needs his next mission is definitely on target.
Marc Berman of the New York Post joining us. Okay, so probably not getting LeBron this year. What are you hearing about the potential trade for Derrick Rose?
I mean, they're more focused on the free agent market. There's really not a trade match. I don't know if the Knicks want to give up assets, if they get someone in the free agency. But, Mike Conley will be their top target. They're not thrilled about giving him a contract, but that's probably what it would take. The point guard is definitely something they need. Hornacek said it clearly. Rose is a big injury risk, and that's why most teams aren't that into it. The good thing with the Knicks, if they have ever talked to the Bulls about it, there's not a lot of teams that need a starting point guard.
Mark, the draft is in 2 days. The Knicks don't have a pick in either round. What do they do to make a move to get into this draft? Is there anything you can see coming?
Yeah, I mean, teams like Boston and Philadelphia, Phoenix, they have several picks. They stockpile draft picks. Philadelphia is way too many to even use for their roster. Same with Boston. So, as long as it's not too expensive, they'll probably buy an early second-round pick. They can put $3 million in the trade. Hopefully they won't have to put all that, but they'll buy a pick, most likely, as long as a couple of guys they like there. Hearing they like that Seton Hall point guard is from Brooklyn, Isaiah Whitehead, who's a second-round guy. But, yeah, I think they'll buy their way into the draft. The key, would want to move into the first round, and is there a team willing to give up their first-round pick for money? Possibly, but probably first round, which is never a good value because they have that sort of a 2-3 year guaranteed contract at a pretty nice rate. So I think the Knicks would rather have an early second-round pick.
Marc Berman of the New York Post with us right here on 104.5, The Team, Levac and Wolf. So, Mark, as Knicks fans look at this offseason, we're not getting LeBron just yet. We don't have a guaranteed first-round pick. We might get a second-round pick or two. What can we get excited about? I know we got a lot of cap space. Are there players out there that you're keeping an eye on that could become Knicks?
Yeah, listen, their backcourt is horrendous. We're still waiting for Aaron Aflalo to officially opt out. He was their starting shooting guard until actually getting demoted late in the season. So, they need shooting guards. They need point guards. I think their front court is not terrible. In fact, it's pretty darn good with Lopez having an excellent season alongside Melo and Porzingis. But they definitely need more depth and backcourt help. And, there's a lot of guys on the shooting guard ledger, but, Bradley Beal would be a great fit. He's a restricted free agent. I think the Wizards would match, but, if the Knicks give a crazy offer, who knows? I know they do like the kid from Boston, Evan Turner. The Celtics don't like to pay a lot of money, but, would be tough to lose him. Fournier from Orlando is a nice player. They have a list of over 30 guys that, they're focused on. I mean, Nicholas Batum Batum, they love these guys are free agents, but no, does anyone dying to play in New York anymore? They're the third worst team in the Eastern Conference,
Yep.
and Phil Jackson's great reputation has been tarnished a little bit. I think Hornacek does help in terms of attracting guys.
Marc Berman with us. So Mark, the groceries are on the shelf to build a playoff team. Do you think that they can somehow attract these guys and they can put together a team that's going to get you another, 10 or so wins and guarantee you a playoff spot?
Well, it's sad that that is considered a goal. I mean, that is considered a goal to get a playoff spot, an eighth seed, which, when Phil Jackson took over in March of 2013, the Knicks were coming off the 54-win season, and then they closed strong, missed the playoffs by one game. So he set them back to where you're actually asking me, can they maybe get the eighth seed? Yeah. I mean, I think they could cobble together something in the off season and maybe vie for the eighth seed. But what's the end game? I don't see the map leading to what Carmelo Anthony is envisioning, and that's being a top four team in the Eastern Conference and trying to compete with Cleveland. And that's the most distressing part of this. Unless Porzingis, instantly becomes a superstar, in his second season, but he showed some growing pains and durability issues. So, can they compete for the eighth seed and make the playoffs at 7 and 8 after being the third worst team in the Eastern Conference? I still think they can, but there's no parade for the eighth seed.
So a reasonable. All right, let's. I'm a Knicks fan, Mark, and I can hear in your voice, even though it's a job to cover them, you get excited when they're better. Is it so reasonable? Is 7th, 8th seed? If I'm shooting the moon, I'm hoping for like a 5th seed. Is that accurate? Like that's the best we could probably hope for from the Knicks.
Well, yeah. Listen, the Eastern Conference is it's a weak conference. And there are teams that are better than them right now, but not much better than them. All those teams like Detroit, Washington, Orlando finished ahead of them. Charlotte, I mean, they're a little better than the Knicks, not much. But after Cleveland, maybe Toronto, there's no super team. So, if they make a real important signing and somehow they get a Conley, then you're talking. I just don't envision Conley coming to the Knicks. I think he's going to stay in Memphis. But, they need a major signing for anything to be talked about, like, maybe they could compete. And Phil Jackson has not shown the ability to draw the star free agent. Last summer was a big disappointment. They had more cap space last summer, and were one of the few teams with as much cap space as they have now. And now every team has cap space, and they're the third worst team in the Eastern Conference. So, I just don't have a lot of high hopes that this is going to be a free agent bonanza for them.
Marc Berman, New York Post with us, 104.5 The Team. Mark, before I let you go, what kind of an indictment is it on the Knicks organization that Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith, Channing Frye, and Timothy Mozgov all just got rings with Cleveland?
Yeah, I'm sure Phil was watching the television and shaking his head in disgust. J.R. had a nice series. He really helped the Cavaliers in that series. Last finals, if you recall, he was pretty brutal, played very good defense. He made some clutch shots. After game one, his teammates were looking for him. Shumpert played very good defense, on their backcourt. That no one really talked about it. Offensively, he didn't look good. He did have a 4-point play in game 7. He was a little disappointing, but yeah, it's 4 Knicks getting rings. Obviously Mozgov was traded in the Melo deal, but I'm sure Carmelo Anthony was also watching, shaking his head, even though he's friendly with Shumpert and JR. He never wanted those guys traded, and that was a 54-win team, and he's still lamenting, why did we break it up so fast?
Marc Berman of the New York Post. Mark, we'll always have 2017.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's really going to be a rough. Next season, I think, will be respectable. But when you're talking about a team that is vying for the 8th seed, its fans are going to be more excited. But it's still, in the big picture, you wonder, what the end game is.
It's sad you said respectable. I got excited. Marc Berman of the New York Post. Hopefully we'll get pleasantly surprised, my friend. But I appreciate you making time for us on this Tuesday as we get ready for a draft where the Knicks may or may not have a pick.
Thanks for that, guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Take care.